I want you to close your eyes for a second. Let's go on a little mental field trip.
Okay, I'm ready.
Imagine you are pushing open a heavy glass door. You step inside, and you are immediately hit with that specific, comforting smell. Roasted beans, maybe a hint of cinnamon or vanilla.
I know that smell perfectly.
Right. You hear the hiss of steam from an espresso machine, the low hum of conversation, the clinking of ceramic cups. It feels warm. It feels inviting.
It's the coffee shop.
Exactly. It's one of the few places in the world that feels like a universal sanctuary.
It really is. It's that third place sociologists talk about. Not work, not home, but that space in between where we go to wake up or to decompress or just escape the weather.
And this is a but for our listeners today, for a lot of people, that feeling of sanctuary just evaporates the second they have to approach the counter.
Oh, absolutely. The twist is real, the
Yes.
cozy vibes disappear,
Yeah.
and suddenly your palms are sweating because you aren't just a customer anymore. You feel like a student walking into a pop quiz.
Yeah, you have to order, and you have to do it in a new language.
It's a very visceral form of performance anxiety. You've got a line of people behind you, a really busy barista in front of you, and that pressure to perform, to get the words right, to understand the questions, it can be absolutely paralyzing.
Exactly. It's that loop in your head. What if I say it wrong? What if I look stupid? Or what if they ask me something I didn't prepare for?
Right.
Well, today we're going to stop that loop. We are doing a deep dive into a very specific, very practical set of sources designed to dismantle that fear. We're looking at guides for speaking English in a coffee shop.
And what makes this deep dive so fascinating is the actual nature of the material. We aren't analyzing a dense linguistics textbook here,
Thank goodness.
right? No dissertations on syntax. We are looking at a collection of guides specifically written for A1 and A2 learners.
Which means beginners.
Exactly, beginners. But the psychology behind these guides, how they structure communication, is actually incredibly sophisticated in its simplicity.
So, if you've ever felt overwhelmed by grammar charts or terrified of the subjunctive mood, this is going to be a massive breath of fresh air. Our mission today is simple. We want to get you from the door to that first sip of coffee without the panic.
We want to replace anxiety with a toolkit.
I love that. And to do that, we have to start with the core philosophy found in every single one of these documents. It's a mantra that, frankly, I think most native speakers could benefit from too.
It's so true. The sources say simple English is good English.
Simple English is good English. It sounds almost too easy, doesn't it? I mean, we're conditioned to think that good English means using big words, complex sentence structures, sounding like a professor.
Yeah, that is the classic trap of the adult learner. We equate complexity with intelligence. But these sources explicitly state that accuracy, getting every single grammar rule 100% perfect, is actually way less important than confidence.
They introduce a concept called emotional safety, right?
Yes. The rule is absolutely explicit. It's okay to make mistakes.
That is such a relief to hear. We put so much pressure on ourselves to sound native immediately. But these sources are arguing that the goal isn't to be a poet. The goal is purely functional.
Did you get the coffee? Yes.
Good.
Then you succeeded. Communication is the metric, not perfection.
Totally.
Now, there is a note in the Dialogue Behavior Guide that I think we should adopt for this deep dive. It instructs the speakers to be slow, clear, and supportive.
I saw that. Usually, we talk pretty fast, we bounce ideas around. But today, to really respect the source material and to help you absorb this toolkit, we are going to slow our roll.
We want to make sure you catch every single word, every nuance.
Yeah.
We're going to model that emotional safety right here.
Perfect. So let's unpack this. We're going to start where every interaction starts. The visual, the nouns, the physical things surrounding you in the shop.
Okay, let's set the scene again. You're standing at the counter. The barista is busy steaming milk. You look up at the wall. What do you see?
You see the menu.
Now, looking at our vocabulary source, the definition provided for menu is delightfully simple. It says, a list of food and drinks.
A list of food and drinks. It's not a legal contract. It's not a test syllabus. It's just a list.
Simple and to the point.
And on that list, usually right at the top, is the reason we are all here. Coffee.
I really appreciate how the source defines this. It strips away all the mythology and the fancy branding. Coffee. A hot drink made from coffee beans.
It really grounds you, right? It reminds you of the physical reality. It's just bean water, essentially.
Basically, yeah.
But here's the thing. Most people don't drink it black. They add things. And this is where the definitions in our notes get really charming and actually quite brilliant from a memory standpoint. Let's look at milk.
Oh, this is one of my favorites from the entire stack. The definition is Milk. White drink from cows.
White drink from cows. I mean, you cannot misunderstand that. It's literal, it's visual, and it's impossible to forget.
And that's the whole strategy. When you're nervous, your brain's ability to process abstract concepts or direct translations just drops significantly.
That makes total sense.
Yeah, so by defining it as white drink from cows, the source is connecting the English word directly to a physical image. It bypasses the translation center of your brain and goes straight to visual recognition.
That's a great point. If you are panicking at the counter, you don't need to search for the word, you just remember the image. White drink, cow, milk. Got it.
Exactly.
And what if you have a sweet tooth? You need sugar. What's the definition there?
Sweet white powder for drinks.
Sweet white powder. Again, very visual. It strips away the little packets, the branding, the raw cane labeling, and tells you exactly what the substance is.
That's the pattern here. We are reducing the world to its basic elements.
Yep.
This lowers the cognitive load, the amount of brain power you're using, so you can focus on just speaking.
Now, before we move on to the actual ordering, we really have to talk about sizes. This is where coffee shops, and I won't name names, but we all know the big chains, get really annoying.
Oh, definitely.
They use Italian words, made-up words that sound like they belong in a geometry class.
Right. You'll see grande, venti, alto, trenta. It's confusing even for native speakers. I stood in line behind people speaking perfect English who still stumble over venti or ask, wait, which one is the medium?
But our source cuts right through all that noise. It advises the learner to focus on just two words, small and large.
Small is defined simply as not big, and large is defined as big.
So here's the question that I know listeners have. If I go into a fancy coffee shop where the menu says venti and I ask for a large coffee, will they understand me or will they correct me?
They will absolutely understand you. They might say back, okay, a venti, translating it into their internal language, but the communication is successful. You do not need to play their word games. You can just use the clear English words provided in the source, small or large.
That's a total power move. Refusing to use the jargon and sticking to plain English, it puts you back in control.
It really does.
Okay, so we have our nouns. We know what we want. We want the hot drink from beans, maybe with the white drink from cows, and we want it big. Now we have to actually open our mouths. Let's move to constructing the order.
The topic knowledge source breaks this down chronologically, which is very helpful. The first step isn't ordering. The first step is social. It's just saying hello.
It sounds so obvious, doesn't it? But when we're nervous, we sometimes forget to be human. We get tunnel vision. We just want to bark our order and run away to safety. Coffee. Large.
Exactly. But saying hello serves two critical functions. First, it sets a friendly tone. It signals I am a polite person, not a robot.
Right.
Second, and this is crucial for learners, it buys you time. It establishes a connection before the transaction begins. It slows the pace down just a fraction.
It's a breath, a pause, but then comes the golden phrase, the moment of truth. How do you actually tell them what you want?
There's a bit of a debate here between our sources, or at least two different options presented for different levels of comfort.
Right. The pronunciation optimization source suggests using I want. It lists I want as a simple verb form. It's direct, it's easy to pronounce, I want a coffee. But isn't that a little blunt?
It can be. In some cultures, I want can sound a bit like a demand from a toddler. However, in a busy, noisy coffee shop, it is perfectly acceptable if your tone is nice. But the dialogue example source uses something a little softer. It uses I would like.
I would like. It definitely sounds more polite. I would like a coffee. But grammatically, that's a bit trickier, isn't it? You have that modal verb, would.
It is a tiny bit harder, but the source suggests treating it as a fixed phrase. Don't worry about the grammar of would or conditional tenses. Just memorize the chunk. I would like. It's like a password.
So let's look at the structure. It's subject plus verb plus object. I want a small coffee.
Or I would like a large milk.
Ah.
The structure remains exactly the same. It's a reliable formula. You can slot different words in, muffins, tea, water, but the bones of the sentence don't change.
But there is one word, one magic word, that the source emphasizes heavily. It's the difference between a demand and a request. The source calls it the polite word when asking,
Please?
yes, please. It's incredible what that one syllable does.
It's the lubricant of social interaction. If you say, I want coffee, it can sound aggressive. But if you say, I want coffee, please, suddenly the aggression is gone. You're polite, you're a good customer. It smooths over any roughness in your grammar or pronunciation.
That's a great insight. You could have terrible pronunciation, you could completely mess up the verb, but if you smile and say please, everyone is happy.
That connects back to the dialogue behavior guide and the idea of energy. If your energy is polite, the specific words matter less.
Okay, so you said hello, and you said, I would like a small coffee, please. You think you're done, you think you've survived the encounter, but then the barista speaks back to you.
This is the danger zone for many learners. The unexpected question.
The host in our sources brings up the most common question you will hear. It's fast. And to a learner's ear, it sounds like one long, terrifying word, for here or takeaway.
Right, it's a blur of sound. This is what linguists call connected speech. Native speakers smash words together. For here or takeaway becomes for here or takeaway.
Why do they do that? Feels like they're trying to trick you.
They really aren't trying to be difficult. It's just efficiency. They say this phrase hundreds of times a day. It's on autopilot. But if you break it down, it's actually a simple binary choice. For here or takeaway.
Let's define these, because understanding the definitions makes the question way less scary.
Takeaway is defined in our notes as to take food or drink with you. You are leaving the building.
And here is defined as in this place.
So really, the barista is just asking stay or go.
Why is this so important for the listener to know beforehand? Why devote time to this specific question?
Because anticipation is the cure for anxiety. If you know that after you order, they will ask you where you are going to drink it, you don't have to process the language in real time. You don't have to translate for here while a line of people is waiting behind you. You can prepare your answer before you even walk in the door.
That is such a great tip. You can have, for here please, locked and loaded in your brain.
Exactly. It removes a major stumbling block. Instead of panic, you have a prepared response.
Now, there is one more practical thing you might need to do. You need to pay. And usually the price is on the screen, but sometimes it isn't. Or maybe you're just not sure.
The vocabulary source gives us the universal phrase for value. How much?
How much is it? Or how much is the coffee?
Simple. 3 words. And finally, the interaction needs to end. You've got your coffee, you've paid. What is the very last piece of the puzzle?
Thank you. The definition is polite word after getting something. It closes the loop. It signals that the transaction is done and everyone is happy.
So we have the flow. Hello, then order, size, location, price, and thank you. It's a script. A simple, predictable script.
I want to pause here and go a little deeper into the mechanics. We touched on simple English is good English, but one of our sources, the pronunciation optimization source, actually gives us detailed rules on how to simplify our speech.
This is a really deep dive into language choice. It's not just about knowing words. It's about choosing the right words for your level of stress. When you are stressed, your cognitive load is high. Your brain is working hard just to stand there and breathe.
Cognitive load, that's a great term. So you don't want to give your brain extra work by trying to find fancy words.
Exactly. Think of your brain like a smartphone battery. Stress drains it. Complex grammar drains it. One of the main strategies is word choice. The source explicitly tells us to avoid long words to save that battery life. It says use short words.
Run us through a few of those. What are the bad words versus the good words?
Okay, here's a classic. Instead of purchase, which has complex sounds and 2 syllables, use buy.
Buy. 1 syllable. Clean.
Instead of assist, use help.
Can you help me? Is much easier to say than can you assist me? And it sounds friendlier, too. Assist sounds like something a robot would say.
Exactly. And instead of complete payment, just use pay.
I love this next one. Instead of utilize, just use.
It's the anti-business speak rule.
Right.
In a coffee shop, you aren't in a board meeting. You don't need to impress anyone with your vocabulary size. You just need to be understood.
The source calls them tongue twister words. If a word is hard for you to say, just don't use it.
That leads right into the second rule, which is sentence structure. The source gives a very specific metric here, 5 to 10 words per sentence.
And 1 idea per sentence.
That is key. Don't try to explain your whole day or why you need the caffeine. Just one idea. I want coffee. That is one idea.
The source actually gives a bad example to show us what not to do. I'm going to read this, and I want you to tell me why it's bad. Ready?
Ready.
I would be interested in purchasing a medium-sized beverage.
Oh, that hurts my ears. Interested in purchasing. Medium-sized beverage. It's full of multi-syllable words. It uses a conditional tense. Could be interested. It's a cognitive overload for the speaker and the listener. The barista is busy. They don't want a poem. They want an order.
And here is the good example from the source. I want a small coffee.
It's beautiful. Subject, verb, object. It's clear. It's confident. And most importantly, it's impossible to misunderstand.
Why does this matter so much? Why are we obsessing over syllable counts?
Because when you use simple words and short sentences, you stay calm. If you try to construct a complex sentence, your brain has to work 3 times as hard. You get flustered. You start sweating. By sticking to the 5 to 10 word rule, you keep your brain in the green zone. You stay safe.
That makes total sense. It preserves your mental energy for the things that matter, like paying and not spilling your drink.
Exactly. And the pronunciation optimization source mentions avoiding long conditionals. Keep the verb simple. I want, I like, I need. That is enough.
All right, we've got the vocab, we've got the structure, and we've got the rules of simplification. Now let's put it all together.
We are going to enact the dialogue example source. We will read it exactly as it is written in the notes. This will show you just how easy the flow really is when you strip away the anxiety.
I'll play the barista, I'll put on my imaginary apron.
And I will play the customer.
Okay, ready, here we go. Hello,
Hello.
what would you like?
I would like a small coffee, please.
For here or takeaway?
For here, please.
That's it.
That was the whole interaction.
It took maybe 10 seconds.
And look at what happened. I got my coffee. You knew what I wanted. I was polite. You were polite. And I didn't have to conjugate any irregular verbs or use the subjunctive mood.
It really highlights that we often overthink these interactions. We build them up in our heads to be these big exams, but really, it's just 4 or 5 lines of dialogue.
Hello?
Yeah.
I would like, for here, thank you. If you have those 4 building blocks, you could survive in any coffee shop in the English-speaking world.
It's empowering when you break it down like that.
It is. And notice, in the skit, I didn't rush. I spoke clearly. I used the word please. I followed all the rules we discussed.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? We've covered a lot of ground today, from white drink, from cows, to the psychology of simple verbs. Let's recap the key takeaways from our deep dive.
We have a very simple checklist. Think of it as your survival kit. 1, greeting, say hello. 2, order. Use I would like or I want.
3, size, small or large. 4, location, here or takeaway.
5, price, how much. And 6, closing, thank you.
That is your toolkit. Keep it in your pocket. But there is also an emotional component we need to check in on before we wrap up.
Yes. The Dialogue Behavior Guide has a section on emotional safety. I think this is actually the most important part of the source material. It reminds us that English is practice.
English is practice. I like that. It implies that there is no perfect. It's not a performance. It's a gym session. You go there to work out, not to win a medal.
And it says something very powerful. People in coffee shops might speak fast, but you can speak slowly.
That is a total power move, actually. Just because the barista's rushing doesn't mean you have to. You can control the pace of your side of the conversation.
Exactly. You are the customer. You are paying. You have the right to take a breath and say, I want a small coffee. You set the tempo.
And remember the other golden rule from the source? It's okay to make mistakes. If you say, I want coffee small instead of small coffee, do you know what happens?
They give you a small coffee.
Exactly. The world doesn't end. The communication will still happen. And that is a success.
Simple English is good English. If you take one thing away from this deep dive, let it be that. You don't need to be Shakespeare to get a latte.
No, you just need to be brave enough to say hello.
Well, looking at the topic knowledge source, it struck me how efficient this simplified communication is. We just proved that you can navigate a commercial transaction with 5 simple sentences. And it got me thinking beyond just coffee.
Also,
Here's my question for you and for the listener. If you can order a coffee with absolute confidence using just 5 sentences and basic words, what other complex parts of your life could be simplified just by slowing down?
oh, wow.
We often think we need to explain everything, give every detail, justify every single decision with long words. But maybe, just like in the coffee shop, I want this please, is actually enough. Maybe simple is good everywhere.
That is a fascinating thought. Simplifying not just our coffee orders, but our daily communication across the board. Being direct, being clear, being kind. I absolutely love it.
It's a good way to live.
It really is. Thank you for taking this deep dive with us today. Go find a coffee shop, take a deep breath, and get that white drink from cows.
Good luck out there. You can do it.
See you next time.